listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Well, happy Friday evening, folks. Welcome to my show. This is Scotty Roberts. You're watching and listening to the Intrepid radio program right here on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. Come on over. See all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio and all the other stuff over there as well. You can also come over to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. And of course there you're going to find this show, over 360 archived shows over the last year and a half. And you're going to find the live chat room, which is going on right now, filled with other Intrepheads. Now, maybe you don't see yourself as being an Intrepid. Well, if you come and listen to this show for any length of time, I think you automatically become one. And when you start chatting, you're an Intrepid. And while you're there, go ahead and hit the join button if it's showing up tonight. YouTube has been, although they've cleared every single copyright hit against me because I have held a license to use the music I use in this show. I've held it since the very beginning, and I've revealed that and I've shown it. Their system keeps hitting me with a copyright hit. Now they're getting faster about it. Now that they cleared the first 20 of them since we started using this new music, and I refused to change it. I wanted them to get their shit together and get it fixed. They are coming back within the same day, it seems, or at least the next day, and clearing that out. So if you don't see a join button on here, it's because of that. We'll post one in the chat room so you can see where the join is, or you just go out to my main YouTube page, and the join button is under that main header at the top on the right-hand side. You're going to see it. So hit join. You're going to see 3 different membership levels that you can join up as. Come and be a member of this show. Would love to have you. There's perks that you get. Oh, we were going to do just a lousy cup of coffee this morning. And you know what? I was too tired to actually get up, so we didn't do one. Probably do one over the weekend on Saturday. Which I normally don't do anything on Saturday. Look at my eyes. Look at the circles. It reminds me of the lion from The Wizard of Oz, the movie. Look at the circles under my eyes. I haven't slept in weeks. Well, look at the circles under my eyes. I'm very tired today. Now, I'm not mentally tired. I'm physically tired. It's like my eyes want to sink back into my head, and my eyelids want to close, and I want to go to sleep. I just want to go sleep today. So I don't know what that is. I'm just dragged out. I feel dragged out. Now, that might be, if you're anything like me, I get this weirdness when I sleep. As I've mentioned to you here before, I've got a slight bit of claustrophobia. Now, maybe it's a lot of claustrophobia. I've just never put it to the test, and I don't intend to. But if I get claustrophobic in my clothes, I get claustrophobic because I'm diabetic and I got to wear the compression socks. They say, wear your compression socks. You know, big, long, old man socks that come up to the knee. Well, I'm a barefoot kind of guy. So I don't always wear them. I've always been barefoot. I always walk around barefoot. Now I got to wear compression socks. Well, every now and then I'll wear them to bed. And it drives me insane. Sometime in the middle of the night, I'm trying to scramble out of those compression socks. And they're like tight, so you got to push them down and work them over the heel and get them pulled off. And finally it's like, oh, and I can spread my toes a little bit. And so I get these little bouts of claustrophobia with things like socks on my toes at night, or the blanket's not laying on me just right, and a kid has crawled in the bed and is using up the blanket, and the dog is down there. My wife's way over there on the far side of our nice big king-size bed. I gotta reach to find her and touch her. And but they drive me nuts, and I end up getting up, or I wake up, and I roll over, I'm sleepless, I have insomnia, stuff like that. I used to not have any problem with being awake all the time. Now it's bothering me. So maybe it's because I'm getting old. I don't know. Something like that. I'm old. So enough complaining and whining out of me about that. How about I complain and whine about the state of our country? I was just talking this morning to a friend of mine who is Hey, hold on. I know I'm doing live radio, but I got a call coming in. I'm going to say I'll call you after radio. Stand by. So I, where was I? I had a message from, or I saw a post from a friend of mine over in Scotland, and their perception of what's been going on in America, I think, is really tainted. It's tainted by the state of the press in this country, and the need for this press to stir up the pot. No longer is there journalism in this country, but they want the world and our own country to believe a certain thing about the presidency, about the riots, quote unquote, at the Capitol on Wednesday of this week. And I wanted to hit that just a little bit, just to make some clarity. Because I said, look, I've got a totally different perspective from what you're hearing. First thing you do, you see all these headlines. Just go out and look at the headlines. New York Times, New York Post, anybody out there. Here's I'm just going to scroll through some of the headlines I'm seeing. New York man who breached U.S. Capitol is son of a prominent Brooklyn judge. What's this one now? Capitol police officer, Trump-supporting military veteran is dead following bloody Capitol siege. Was the siege a bloody siege? Was there a bloody Capitol siege? Maybe bloody for one or two people. There was, as we know, a Trump supporter who was shot and killed in the chest. That's bloody. But this headline leads you to believe, and they show a picture of police shields and people with their arms up and stuff like that. They try to make this look worse than it actually was. Now, 50,000 people who were overall peaceful protesters. Peaceful in the sense they wanted to show up at the Capitol and have their voice heard. And that's it. Oh, and by the way, if there's anybody out there who says, I don't come to hear politics on your show, well, good. I don't talk a lot of politics. I talk politics when there is something big that's happening. When I feel, this is, you know what, this is my goddamn country. And if I see something that I think is a problem, I'm going to talk about it. Because you know what? And if you're in another country, I've got friends that listen to the show all over the world. If you're in another country and you go, oh, that's American politics. Not American politics affects probably every country in the world. What's going on here will affect you in some way. This is my country, and I'm seeing a travesty going on right now. And that travesty is this: the opposition to President Trump, whether you like him or not, or think he's done a good job or not, or whatever, the opposition to him has been trying to remove him from office since the second day after he took the oath of office on January 20th of 2017. If you didn't know it, because we talked about it way back, is that the impeachment process that he went through last year, they've been trying to impeach him 9 times. Starting on day 2 of his presidency, there was already papers for impeachment filed. And this went on 9 times before they actually did impeach him, but they didn't remove him from office. Now, they're trying to impeach him again. He's got 11 and a half days left in office. Not even 11 and a half. Call it 11. He's got 11 days left in office. What are his opposition doing? Not only did they try to delegitimize his presidency from day 2, they are going to find a way to make sure they ruin and delegitimize the man. That is what this is about. It's political theater, folks. There is nothing real behind the need to impeach him or to invoke the 25th Amendment, which is Schumer is doing. Schumer's been in politics for 50 years in government. What the hell? The president's the only governmental official, it seems, that has term limits. Can only serve twice. So what is the 25th Amendment? Just so you know. Do you know what this is when you're hearing people wanting to invoke it? The 25th Amendment says, In the case of removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become the president. Section 2. Whenever there's a vacancy in the office of the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation, and so on. 3. Whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House Representatives his written declaration that he's unable to discharge his own powers and duties of the office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and his duties shall be discharged by the vice president as the acting president. And then Section 4. Whenever the vice president and majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide and transmit to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and the duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president. Thereafter, when the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office, unless the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department or of such other body as Congress may by law transmit within 4 days to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Thereupon, Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for that purpose, if not in session. If the Congress within 21 days after the receipt of the latter written declaration, or if the Congress is not in session within 21 days after the Congress is required to assemble, determines by 2/3 vote of both houses that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall continue to discharge the same as acting president. Otherwise, the president shall resume the powers and duties of his office. So there's the 25th Amendment to the Constitution. They're trying to declare that Donald Trump is unfit for office when his term is done in 11 days. Now, the reason they're doing this is because Trump has already hinted at and said outright he might be running again in 4 years as president. Well, who knows if he's going to actually do that or not. He's going to be the age Joe Biden is now if he runs in 4 years. So, should he run in 4 years? I don't know about that. Does he have a chance of winning in 4 years? Maybe, maybe not. If there is a groundswell of right now 75 million Americans that supported him, and if we fix some of the voting problems that took place in the last election, he may very well win re-election in a second term after having Biden in the middle, Biden and Harris in the middle. So push all that aside. This is why you are hearing this in the press now, because the opposition to Trump want to remove him from office now so he cannot run again. And you know why? They've been doing this since the second day he took office. Now they think they've found the thing. So what are they going to do? They're going to build up the insurrection, the rioting, the revolution that was taking place at the Capitol building by Trump supporters on Wednesday, which is nonsense. And I was started off by reading you some of the headlines. The bloody insurrection. Let's see, what else we got? Let's just look at the news. Let's see. Here, I'm just going to go to news. Yahoo's probably a good one for news because they hate the president. Trump announces he will not attend Biden's inauguration. That's fine. There's been other presidents that haven't attended before. Let's see. I'm going to see if there's anything more about the act of protest the other day and the handful of people that might be labeled by some as insurrectionists. Let's see. Insurrection. Let's just put that in. At Capitol. Let's see what we get here. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and Ted Cruz clash on Twitter after a call for his resignation from the Senate. Now, wait a second. Ted Cruz's clash on Twitter after call for his resignation from Senate. The Democrat firebrand rolled her eyes at Cruz's comment about Wednesday's Capitol insurrection. New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, better known as AOC, and Texas Senator Ted Cruz sparred on Twitter on yesterday. Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic firebrand, responded to the Democratic firebrand. Do you know she was a firebrand? If you're a Democrat, do you see her as a firebrand? This is Yahoo giving us the news here, though, and Yahoo is extremely to the left in this country. All the news they've ever published about Trump has been negative. I have not yet seen one story in 4 years that talked about anything positive Trump did. So the Democrat firebrand responded to Cruz's release of a statement on Twitter in which he called Wednesday's insurrection at the U.S. Capitol building by supporters of President Trump a despicable act of terrorism and a shocking assault on our democratic system. She directly replied, "Senator Cruz, you must accept responsibility for how your craven, self-serving actions contributed to the deaths of 4 people yesterday and how you fundraised off this riot. Now, both you and Senator Hawley must resign," she continued. "If you do not, the Senate should move for your expulsion." Now the headline said, what did the headline say? Ted Cruz clash on Twitter after call for his resignation from Senate. Senate didn't call on him to resign. Ocasio-Cortez did. Let's see, they make you, it's clickbait. It makes you open. Oh, the Senate call for his resignation? When you and your socialist buddies, he responded, try to massively... Oh, wait, he said to AOC, AOC, you are a liar. Leading a debate in the Senate on ensuring election integrity is doing our jobs, and it's in no way responsible for the despicable terrorists who attacked the Capitol yesterday. And sorry, I ain't going anywhere. When you and your socialist buddies try to massively raise taxes, when you try to pass a Green New Deal and destroy millions of jobs, when you push for amnesty, when you try to pack the Supreme Court with activists to undermine our constitutional rights, I will fight that every step and stand with the people, Cruz maintained. And then Ocasio-Cortez then reminded Cruz he'd sent out a tweet asking for donations amid the deadly chaos. "Oh, you're accusing me of lying," she says. "Isn't this you? Your campaign sent out this fundraising message as people were sledging the Capitol. You claim to sieging the Capitol." And by the way, was it Ted Cruz's people? Was it even Trump's people sieging the Capitol? You know, let's stop on this for just a second. 50,000 plus supporters of Donald Trump held a protest on the Capitol steps and surrounding the Capitol building. That is constitutionally protected. Now, some people, pushed by instigators, entered the Capitol building. Is that a siege of the Capitol building? Is standing there protesting a siege of the Capitol building? Or are they still there? Are those people all still standing on the steps, or did they go home? Might be new people there. There's no siege. There's no insurrection. Jesus, look at the definition of insurrection. Then we'll get on with this AOC story. The definition: a violent uprising against an authority or a government. Is that what 50,000 people were doing on Wednesday? Was it a violent uprising against an authority or a government? No. Does the press want you to believe that with the kinds of photos they put up, with the snapshot moments and the headlines they use? Yeah, they want you to believe that. That's not what happened. You go look at some of the videos where they're incredulously, some of the newscasters on NBC are talking about, "Oh, I can't believe that this is happening. They're infiltrating the Capitol." And it's a camera at the Capitol, and you see people walking in a line in between guardrails with the velvet, the little velvet dividers between little posts. People walking down that path through the rotunda looking around, some of them taking pictures, carrying an American flag. One guy I saw in that video while the newscasters are going, oh my God, we can't believe that this insurrection is taking place. And the one guy leaned over and he moved one of the posts that somebody had kind of bumped into as they were walking through it, and he moved it back into place and kept walking. That didn't look to me like armed terrorists, insurrectionists. What a bunch of bullshit. And the press is attempting to foist this upon you. Is YouTube? Is Twitter? Our Facebook? By censoring and not allowing the President of the United States to send out a Twitter. Now, there was a new Twitter I saw from him last night, so something must have happened on Twitter. But Facebook, for the protection of the sake of real news and real information, they're going to prevent the president from inciting more violence by taking down his account over at Facebook. Has this been proven in a court of law? No. And you know what? I don't believe he was inciting violence at all. He was inciting people to stand up to your government, make your voice be heard. He didn't tell anybody to go in and do anything. And you know what? We tell people that all the time. The left tells people that all the time. Send in your mail-in votes. Let your vote be known. Go out and protest. Look at how they supported the BLM protests. And look what happened to Minneapolis. 150 businesses burned down. Oh, not by BLM, we're told. BLM's all peaceful protesters. This was the instigators, the agitators who were there doing it. Now, do you suppose agitators were there trying to instigate something? Extremists that took advantage of the Trump crowd being there? Yeah. And some Trumpers got in. Some were wearing MAGA hats. They're walking through with their Trump flags and their United States flags. You see the police all around them. Some of them just watching them walk through. They ushered them all to a certain, and a coat room, they called it. A coat room. I had somebody on Facebook yesterday tell me, and he's somebody who's always in there, just somebody I've known for years, and I've liked him and respected him, and ghost hunting, paranormal investigation. He's out there. He is so buried in leftist thinking that he's constantly, anything I post, anything I say, he's got to be right there on my heels trying to dismantle what I'm saying in a friendly enough way. And he said yesterday there were thousands of people. Oh, no, it was somebody else. Somebody I know that's a psychic in the paranormal field. And this person was, there were thousands of protesters, Scotty. Don't come at me unless you have facts. And so I posted about a dozen pictures. And I said, this looks like about... I said, I think that there were a few dozen people. There were dozens of people. Not even hundreds, let alone thousands. Maybe 100 people at most. Now, you had people outside crawling all over the porch of the Capitol building and stuff like that, but is that breaching the building? No, those are public areas. Anyway, there you go. I don't want to spend the whole hour on this, but we got to go out to break. I'm going to come back. We're going to try to wrap this up and get into Enoch. And I hope you're taking this okay. We don't do this often on this show, but it's worth doing right now because it's at a critical stage. And this is my country, and this is my show. And hopefully you like what you hear, and if you don't, I'm sorry. There'll be more different stuff as we move on. We'll get back to normal types of stuff soon. Once we get through this bullshit. How's that for a going out word for the first half? So guys, sit tight. We're going to be right back.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad so he can take me to Disneyland.
All right, gang, we're back. Thanks for sitting on through that break. This is Scotty Roberts. You're listening to my show and watching it. Listening over on the Odyssey Radio Network. That's ODYSY1.com. Come on over, see all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio. And then come on over to my YouTube channel and watch the video simulcast. Join the live chat room filled with Intrepid heads. Let your voice be heard. Let your voice be known. And that's over at youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. Hit the join button. Join this channel. Become a member. And you'll see 3 different ways when you hit that join button that you become a member of this channel. And I appreciate that you're here. Let's kind of pick up where we left off. It's easy for me. You see how easy I lost track of time? I didn't want to talk about this stuff the whole first half of the show. I was going to talk about it for 10 minutes or so. And this is where it goes. I didn't even finish going through the Ocasio-Cortez thing. I didn't get into all this, but you know what? Damn it. This stuff rankles me because I am watching, and as I started off saying, I was talking to a friend of mine in Scotland who said, this is the perception we have over here, you know, Trump incited and this and that, and I said, that is an erroneous perception. That's the perception that Trump's enemies, his opponents, want you to have of the man. They need to have that perception out there in order to push the 25th Amendment thing. While he's got 11 days left in office, they want to remove him from office. You know why they're doing that? So there's no possibility that he can run again. Is that because they believe in their heart of hearts that he's bad for the country? No, it's because they believe he's bad for them, his opposition. I think that there's no investigation going into the election claims. There should be a full-out congressional investigation of the election. Not happening. Why? They don't want it to happen. I have heard from some people that are, call them inside people. That's all I can tell you, that have said Trump is going to be releasing going to release Freedom of Information Act against some of the information that they have on the government, on Congress, on a lot of these people. Now, is that just conspiracy talk, or is it going to happen? If it's real, I hope it happens. At the same time, what will that do to our country? Will he release information? Are there people out there right now that want him to not release that information? And they want him out of office now? So they're pushing this? The swamp runs deep, folks. So Ocasio-Cortez and Ted Cruz, where was that? I was talking about that, and I wanted to get through that a little bit, just to be done with it. So Ocasio-Cortez is accusing Cruz of raising money. Ted Cruz here, I'm leading the fight to reject electors from key states unless there's an emergency audit of the election results. Will you stand with me? And it's a fundraiser. That was on Wednesday. Ted Cruz says, leading a debate in the Senate on ensuring election integrity is doing our jobs. And it is no way responsible for the despicable terrorists who attacked the Capitol. Sorry, it ain't going anywhere. And when you and your socialist buddies, ... And there's a link. Oh, you're accusing me of lying. Isn't this you? She asked. And the story goes on. The text message AOC retweeted from the Texas lawmaker read, I think we already read it. I was reading off the Twitter itself rather than the article. He said, yes, my campaign sends out automated fundraising messages, as does your campaign, AOC, and every other campaign. When the attack happened, within minutes, I told my team to halt fundraising. Your lie is that debating an election commission in the Senate somehow supports terrorist violence. Still, even after Wednesday's 6 hours, folks. Oh, and I want to point something out, too. In that 6 hours, did we see all these people that supposedly infiltrated the Capitol building? You walk through the rotunda, there's 30 statues or more all around the rotunda. How many of those statues were toppled over and crushed and smashed? None. How many walls had spray painting on them or old portraits were vandalized? None. How many flags were burned on the floor of the rotunda? None. How many buildings were set on fire? Think back to the end. Oh, people hate when you make this comparison, because the BLM movement and the extremist fringe of the BLM movement, whoever they were setting fires. Minneapolis, where it was all sparked after the George Floyd thing, 150 businesses were burned down in my old neighborhood. But that's different. All the left, all the opposers to Trump were saying, see, this is what Trump has brought to our country. Division like this. We stand with the protesters. And they called the police to back off and let people burn the cities. And then we had it spreading across the country. Did you see any of that in Washington at the Capitol building on Wednesday? No. You saw 50,000 plus people letting their voice be heard, showing up en masse at the Capitol, which is a lawful thing to do, until some of the weirdos started climbing and trying to break windows and stuff like that. And you had probably less than 100 people that went inside. Out of 50,000, 50 to 100 people, maybe, from the looks of everything when you see it. But the pictures that the news media is going to publish are going to be pictures that make it look like, oh, there's this huge riot when a little scuffle broke out over here. There's scuffles all the time. There's scuffles in movie theater lines, for Christ's sake. We heard a security guard died. One of the Capitol security died. That all I saw in articles up until just a little while ago was that he had succumbed to injuries during scuffling at the outside the Capitol building. Was it outside or was it inside? Don't know for sure. But they said that he succumbed to his injuries. He went back after the scuffling, went back to the station, reported back in, and then crumpled to the floor. And they said he had died apparently of his injuries. And they said that he had been hit on the head with a fire extinguisher. I don't even know if that's true. But he's dead. Why did he die? Don't know. Did he die because some asshole hit him over the head with a fire extinguisher? And now they're trying to blame Trump for his death because some asshole hit a guy over the head with a fire extinguisher because Trump told him to do it. What a bunch of useless, nonsensical bullshit is that? As this all started, by the way, Trump he made an announcement. He says, everybody, be peaceful and go home. And he said, respect the uniform, the men and women in blue. We are the law and order party. So, what you're seeing now out there, just look at it. Stand back, step out of the box and look back in. Who is throwing the most caterwaul out there? All those people who are opposing Trump, opposing people who supported him, opposing a conservative mindset, and they're out there and they've got the press because the press is biased politically to the left. You might hear, well, you got Fox News. Yeah, one against 25 other outlets. So, you got all this going on right now. And you have the opposition to Trump trying to paint a picture for the world. And for citizens of the United States who don't pay much attention. Folks, it's time to think for yourself. I had this same guy who comes in and jumps on all my political posts. He posted a bunch of photographs of all the travesty that took place at the Capitol on Wednesday. Well, every one of his pictures was something like, well, there's a guy waving a Confederate flag. Ooh, travesty! That's terrorism! And he was standing in the rotunda, just holding a flag. You had a picture of a worker, a janitorial person, picking up empty water bottles, this kind of thing, laying around in the Capitol rotunda. And I think I said, ooh, water bottles. They left water bottles behind. And not many of them. It wasn't like it was knee-deep in water bottles. They had to sweep up the water bottles and pick them up that some people had dropped there or left sitting on a tabletop or whatever. Disrespectful? Yes. Should there have been a breach of the Capitol building? No. For the record, no, there should not have been. But what was done was not an act of terrorism. You might have had a handful of people, the guy with the horns, some of these weirdos dressed in furs and costumes and shield and breastplates and, whoever hit a security guard with a fire extinguisher, if that truly happened. A protester who took it too far and was breaking down one of the inner doors that had glass windows in it, and she was pounding on that, and she got shot and killed. 14-year Air Force vet named Ashley Babbitt, mother with kids. Should she have been doing that? No! She's dead because of what she did. You almost can't blame some of those guys, but that guy's been dismissed. He's now no longer part of the force. And it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But the left wants to hold Donald Trump responsible for her death. You tell me that that's a right thing to do. All they're trying to do, and I mentioned to somebody, it looks like this, and I'm going to end all this political talk on this point for tonight. It's like feudalism, medievalism. What happened when one country attacked another country and they subdued their king and their army? That king usually got put to death. And his family, to make sure that there would be no uprising or anybody left that could stage an uprising against the new king who defeated the old one. This is what the opposition to Donald Trump is doing right now in this country. If you can't see this, you are not looking. This is exactly what's happening. They must eradicate President Trump, the old king for the new king. They must eradicate as many of his supporters and followers as they can. Schumer and Pelosi and the Democrats and one Republican lawmaker are calling for Trump's removal. On this basis, they called for President Trump's removal after a violent mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol, leaving 4 dead and injuring multiple members of the Capitol Police. This man is deadly to our democracy and to our people, said, Nancy Pelosi said that. What happened at the U.S. Capitol yesterday was an insurrection against the United States incited by the President, Schumer said. What a load of bullshit. I think Schumer needs to stop playing political handsy-pansy with Pelosi and making political theater and just go, hey, he's gone in 11 days, we're moving on. But no, they got to make a big political game out of it now. This president should not hold office 1 day longer. That was yesterday. He's still there. If the vice president and the cabinet refuse to stand up, Congress should reconvene to impeach the president. And in a press conference Thursday afternoon, Pelosi joined Schumer in calling for the invocation of the 25th Amendment and possible impeachment. Yesterday, the President of the United States incited an insurrection against America, Pelosi said. No, he did not. If you are smart people, you already know. What is our spark courage tell us, our boldness? Speak up. Let people know. No, that's not true. That's not true. This is a big fucking political game. Period. All right. I'll be done with that. What do we got? We got about 22 minutes left. I'll do some justice to our topic tonight. Thank you for indulging me, letting me get out my... This is my love for my country. And I'm not going to put up with the BS that goes out there without saying something. I can't do much to change it, but I can let my voice be heard as long as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter allow my voice to be presented. If they can come across and say I can no longer say the things I'm saying, you better start worrying about where your country is going. Spark courage. Ask for honest feedback from someone you respect. That's what that one says today. Ask for honest feedback from someone you respect. Ask for feedback. I'll ask you for feedback. You know what? You can talk over in the chat room. I'll see it. Respond as I can. You can also... Oops. I dropped the whole box. I didn't spill it, though. Give me your feedback. Email me, scottallenroberts@gmail.com. Go to my website, scottallenroberts.com. Hit the contact button. Let me know what you think. If you can't stand this or you can't stand my political position, let me know. But don't, I'm going to warn you ahead of time, don't do a fucking mock mic drop on me. Pardon my French again. If you want to say something to me, you better be open to have a conversation, which I will have a good conversation with you. But don't come in and go, I just have to tell you what I think and you're terrible and horrible and blah, mic drop and I'm gone. I've had more people do that to me. And it's like, that's ineffective. It renders your argument and your position ineffective. If you cannot stand for the conviction of what you say you believe, then don't say it, because you don't really have a belief in that. If you can't stand for it. Well, I can't express myself well. Then shut up. You can write me. I'll write you back. Whether you like what we've done here or you don't. There it is. I try not to do this every day, as you know. Since all this election stuff came up, you know, I've taken extra time to do politics. That's where it is. But I've also taken a lot of time to do other things. So I hope you enjoy this. All right. We now are down to about 20 minutes left of this show. So let's, we got into that. Look for feedback from people. I took that all on myself. Said, give me feedback. Do you look for feedback from people you respect? Hey, you see how I operate. Am I doing the right thing? Do you think I'm doing that? Ask yourself that and ask the people that you support or that support you or that you respect. Ask them what they think of what you're doing. Now, yesterday, we left off after a very difficult, kind of cluttered, I felt like it was a cluttered presentation on Enoch and all this geometry, because it's really hard to explain calculations in geometry in an audio format. Unless I get boring. You know, I try to get really boring. Now the A, if you divide it by the circumference of the triangle, and then square it at a rate of 10.2 times 3.14 pi, you will, you start doing that, it's gone. Eyes glazed are gone, I got better things to do. So I'm trying to get some of this information to you without it being too difficult. We ended on talking about how the Aleph, the Hebrew Aleph, has created the six-pointed star, the Jewish star. When you put them all together in the form that it's Kabbalistic and all of this. And I can't rehash it all, or I'll be talking all about rehashing since yesterday. We ended on nodes, and we said Enoch nodes what's going on. A standing wave occurs when the interference of two waves traveling in opposite directions, utilizing the same identical and equal frequency, amplitude, or resonance, meet its reflection. The spaces that intersect with each other are called nodes. And it's really hard to do this without really having lots of visuals. And I'm trying to think of the audience that's listening audibly as well. And I didn't put together graphics for this because I didn't want to have to do that. But the Hebrew letters form the Aleph sound within the six-pointed star shape. And there's some concept, I'm thinking of just working this diagram in here right now so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Let's see if we can do this while we're talking, because some of this stuff is so intricate and it is so detailed that it sometimes helps to see what's going on here. Hold on. Let's grab this. No, that's not it. I'm going to grab an image and show you. So talk amongst yourselves a little bit. Talk to me if you want to. But let me try to get something that you can look at here. Okay. I am going to prep this little thing that I just took a picture of so you can see what in the world I'm talking about. With the Hebrew alphabet and the Aleph and all of this stuff. I took a screenshot of my notes. There it is. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to drag this over and put it in my window so you can see what I'm talking about here. All right. Almost there. This is going to be the Hebrew alphabet you're going to see, mixed with the Jewish star of what's been known as the Star of David, which is an ancient symbol, much more ancient than David, but that's how we've come to recognize it. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. This is kind of what we're talking about here. All right, let me get this ready and save it so I can import it into the show. It's funny, I can do this stuff on the fly. You'd think I'd have done this ahead of time, but I didn't. Star, I'm just going to call this. All right, and we're going to save this there. All right, bear with me, folks. It's coming. Trust me. Trust me. Well, there we are. I don't know what I did there. I hope I didn't cause a problem. Did the whole screen go blank? It did on my end. Whew. So let me import this image now. Image. Star. Aleph. All right. And we're going to go okay. And we're going to go here. And we're going to go here. And I'm going to have this up for you here in just a second. Hang on. Here it comes. Boom, boom, and boom. Here's what we've been talking about with this. I want you to notice something here. Do you notice, you see the Star of David repeated over, and then you've got the Hebrew alphabet here. And you can see how the Hebrew alphabet, this is kind of what we were talking about over a week ago, about how you can take the first letter of the Bible, the book of Genesis, and you can shape it with a wire, and then you take that wire and just, without reshaping it, just turn it and look at it from different angles. It forms every other letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Now, this is what you've got with the Star of David, the He, the Dalet, the Gimel, the Bet, the Aleph, the Yud, the Tet, the Chet, the Zayin, the Vav, the Semek, and so on and so on and so forth. And you can see how these letters are all formed within the Star of David. Now, this is what we're talking about here. Not that this is the end-all and be-all of everything, but this is an example of what I've been talking about with this. It's the same concept that when the Hebrew letter Aleph is alone, without any other letters connected to it, the vowel marks or dots or dashes that are placed underneath, the result is without sound, is silent. And the A sound only occurs when joined by other letters. We were talking about the Star of David, how all the Hebrew letters might be formed from the Aleph sound within the six-pointed star shape. And that six-pointed star, think of it as thinking of the Nazi swastika before it was appropriated by the Nazis, an ancient symbol that had meaning. This is an ancient symbol. The Star of David has meaning to it. Now, this is the same concept, all of this, and I found this kind of interesting. We were talking about the and all these letters. This is the same concept of the origin and meaning of the magician's magic word, abracadabra. You've heard that? Abracadabra. In Hebrew, it's pronounced abarakadabara, which literally means, I shall create through speech. So a watered-down version, almost a comical version, abracadabra, is abarakadabara. Abarakadabra. Which means I shall create through speech, through sound. And it originated from the texts of the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creations and formations. It's found in the Kabbalah. And there have been also other studies on the individual Hebrew letters throughout acoustics, otherwise known as spectrograms or oscillograms. These are wave shapes of the human voice, in which the sounds of the Hebrew letters actually create sound waves that look like the letters themselves. Is that weird or what? But it's real. It's scientific. There's much debate concerning this. It's been said that patterns are being pulled out of the thin air to fit the picture. Now, you got to decide that for yourself. You got to look into this a bit. There's something here, there's a diagram that I of course don't have for you to look at, but it's showing how, if you say the letter bet in vocal, the sound wave, the bet looks like, and I don't have a picture of it, look at my finger, comes down and over. The sound wave comes down and over. The same for the Hebrew A, the ah sound. It's got the same thing in the sound wave. And so sound waves are affected. A node is a point where parts, curves, or lines intersect. An antinode is in the maximum amplitude of a wave characteristic. In this case, the antinode is the Star of David, a standing wave. And the node is the Hebrew letter Aleph. So then we can get into anti-gravity is inside a standing wave. There's space where the laws of physics cancel out gravity, and where physical objects float or levitate. This occurs because an acoustic pressure from the sound waves between the nodes is sufficient to cancel out the effect of gravity. NASA's been known to experiment with this. And the whole question comes, a standing wave, as illustrated by the Star of David, is the schematics to higher science. Perhaps a Stargate, if you will, whose combination code is deciphered by the holy language. It's a primordial form and sound. And I hate to say it, I used so much time at the beginning of this, but I hope it was valuable that we didn't get much time to talk on this. We'll try to finish this up next week on Enoch. So we got to be done for tonight. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow, watch for an announcement. We'll do a lousy cup of coffee tomorrow, or just a broadcast. We'll see what happens. And it won't be at 6 a.m. because I don't think many people have to get up and go to work that early on Saturday. So enjoy yourselves tonight. Thanks for listening. Thanks for indulging me. I hope that this is meaningful for you. You guys have a good one.